Hi, welcome to Garage Geek. It's Friday night, chats. I'm actually kind of on time. You know what? This beard is just getting kind of wild and scraggly. I never put anything in it anymore. What do you think? Do I need to cut it? I was thinking of maybe just cutting all this off and keeping this. What do you think? I don't know. I just maybe keep it through Halloween and then get rid of it. It's like so, I don't know. It's getting so long that it's like scraggly. Okay. So I guess I was going to start off with comics. Where are the comics? I have these comics. But I kind of want to tell my school stories. Maybe I'll start off with the comics. So this week I read Banner, which I already talked about in the video, and then I also read this Superman Brainiac, which I talked about in another video. Both of them I really read because of the art and more of the reputation of this guy, which I said in my video. And of course I bought this one just because of Richard Corbin. And then I have some of the single issues from this, and so I bought this. I mean, I got these for ridiculously cheap prices, like $4 or $5 each, and I got volume 1 and volume 2, but this one is in the hardback. Now I don't particularly care for these in hardbacks. Why? Because the covers aren't anything special, so it just takes up more space. I mean, the slip cover is okay, but I prefer to get these in the softback. Now I actually have a collection of New 52. Now I started collecting New 52 because it was when I got back into comics again. I think the New 52 was just ending and Rebirth had begun or something like that. And so I was really curious about it. It was getting some, bad flack. And so I wanted to, check it out. So I actually started collecting all of the soft covers for this run. And I have at least 3/4 of them. One video I need to just go through all my New 52 and show them off and talk about which ones I have, which ones I still need. But as I've said many, many times, I'm a huge fan of this artist, Jay Lee. So that's an example of his work on the cover there and on the cover there. And he took over. I think the first time I found out about Jay Lee is when he took over from John Byrne on the Submariner, and it was so radically different. Now his art style from then to now has changed so much, but his art style is still just really unique and quirky, and I still love it. So I went ahead and read this, and I'm going to say that it was, the writer was Greg Pak, and the story was intriguing. It wore on a little bit, but it was about a Superman and a Batman from one Earth meeting up with a Superman and a Batman, younger versions from an alternate universe. And there had been slight differences in their lives. For example, the younger Superman had lost Ma and Pa Kent, what's their name, Jonathan and Martha, in a truck accident when he was a teen. So there were kind of slight differences, and that, molded him slightly differently. So the very beginning of this was really interesting, but by the end, it was becoming cliche, and it wasn't, I don't know, I didn't exactly enjoy the ending of it, but what I did enjoy was the astonishing art throughout. I mean, I just love looking at how this guy puts together things. And one thing that I really love about collecting them in these versions, especially the New 52 run, is I have a bunch of these in the floppies. But when you open it up, you get the full page art without anything. So they would call that a virgin cover. And when you turn the page, you often will get the sketch version. That's almost worth it to collect these, just because you get every comic cover in a virgin variant without, all the trade dressing on it. And yeah, this guy's art, I mean, even if you don't, like, I don't absolutely love that, but wow, it's still very interesting. I love what he does with his art. Okay, so I'm gushing. Let me say though that Jay Lee wasn't. I don't think he was the only artist in here. Let me see. So here's another example of the art. But yeah, for example, at the end there was another story with a different artist. And to be honest with you, I didn't even read it. I didn't want to read it. I flipped through the art, and the art certainly wasn't bad, but I wasn't interested. I think I have Superman and Batman overload, and I just want to read certain stories that are that stand out, or the art. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's not bad. I just wasn't interested. And this one is even more, because when you open the first one, you have, let me take off this. You have a couple of issues that aren't by Jay Lee. And it's also done in this style. Now, I know some people would absolutely love that. To me, it kind of reminds me of Jim Lee. I'm not even sure if it is. It might be Brett Booth. I mean, the art certainly is good. It's just, to me, it's just comic book art of maybe the 90s. I don't know, but this wasn't even the 90s. And like I said, it's good art, but it just, it doesn't appeal to me. It doesn't like for me, it doesn't like jump off the page. It's, like I said, it's very good. I mean, there's no way I would say that this is a bad artist by any means, but it's just not enough to make me interested. So I just kind of flipped through this part, and then I got to the part that Jay Lee did, and I mean, look at his style again. And this actually had a really interesting beginning. Batman and Superman have to gather 2 people from each of their tribes to go fight on a war world. And it was interesting to see who they would pick. But by the end, when they actually do the fighting, it just got really dumb, and so I stopped. I actually didn't finish this. I'm only this far. There's a really great scene in this one with Crypto that I really liked. And this cover actually has a dog on it too, which is pretty cool. So anyways, that's Jay Lee. Me going on and on about Jay Lee. I just really like his art. It's so crazy. It's so cool. Do any of you out there know Jay Lee or collect his comic book art? Recently, he's been doing art for some of the Disney comics. Excuse me. And I've been buying them for my husband. And there are like multiple covers, and whenever Jay Lee has one, I usually pick that one for my husband. So I hope he likes them. So yeah, I think those are the comics that I read this week. So I might as well talk about what happened at school. Like this, we have a teacher who's he got injured, and so he's been coming to school on and off. So he's been missing a lot of classes. So of course, when that happens, teachers at the school have to always cover his classes. And so the kids there don't have a lot of stability, right? And so I had to cover 2 separate classes this week of his. And I've talked about like what happened with me when I covered his classes before. So I go into the class, and I start, immediately when I go in, the kids are all wild. And as soon as I start talking to them, the kids start shining lasers in my eyes. Like 4 kids at once. They kept doing it. No matter what I turned, they would shine the lasers. They thought it was a huge game, right? To shine lasers in my eyes. And so, of course, I was like, what the heck? So I went up to every single kid, and it was a fight. This one girl was so nasty. Oh, she was screaming at me, "It's mine. You can't have it. What the hell? Who do you think you are? You can't take my stuff." And I was like, look, you either give that to me or get out of the classroom. End of story. So finally she gave it to me, and then I had to do that with each one of them. It was just like this big fight. And finally the last kid, he was like, "No, I'm not giving it to you. Nope, I'm not giving it to you." So I'm like, look, am I going to call security on you or not? And I went out in the hallway, and luckily the principal was there, and he came in. And then when the kids saw the principal came in, he handed it to me without any more fight. I was just like, that's what I had. Oh, my Lord. Lasers. And why did they all have lasers? Because they went on a field trip, and they handed them out on the field trip. So all these kids had like laser pointers, and they thought they would torment the teacher. Oh my Lord. And then, from there, I had to try to teach them a lesson, and, they didn't want to do it. It was a constant fight, them being on their phones, making noise, like, no, we're going to do this lesson. And it was on, like, Newton's laws of motion. And I had to teach them about distance, speed, time. There was one cool thing. It was relevance points. I forget. I kind of like that. That was interesting. So... those kids wore me out. I swear to God, they wore me out. I was like, oh, sorry, everybody. These kids in middle school. All right. So what am I going to talk about next? I've got a bunch of movies to talk about. Oh, I want to talk about this. So didn't I bring it over? Shoot. I thought I brought it over. So tomorrow I'm going to be on Larry's Library. We're doing a live stream, but for me it's at 6:30 in the morning. I have to get up a little early, and I took a picture of it and I was going to show it. But anyways, it's Larry's Library. I'll try to leave the link to his channel below here. It's early in the morning, but if you miss it, right, you can always watch the stream of it. He has his daughter on there, and I usually. It's once a month, and I'm usually a participant, right? And, I'm watching the show and commenting. So he invited me on. This is my first time to be live. Although I've been with Sleepy Reader, and but we would record it, but we didn't post it live. This is actually live. So that's something new for me. And I'm looking forward to that. I just got to make sure I get up early enough because I need my coffee before I get there. So... for him, it's like 2 hours later. It's like 8:30 in the morning. But for me, it's like 6:30 in the morning on a Saturday. I'm like, I need to sleep because those kids kill me at school. All right. Oh, the Nobel Prize winner was announced, and I forget the guy's name, but I think it's like Joss something. I believe he's a Norwegian. And the interesting thing is that one of his books is... or was on the Man Booker Prize International, and I didn't get around to reading it. It's part of a septology, so that means it's in 7 parts. Not to be patronizing, but the reason I say that is because in the United States, in the English-speaking world, it was put out as 3 books. So 7 books originally, I guess, in Norwegian were put out in 3 volumes. And I was lucky because my library actually has them, but it's on hold. So I'm looking forward to reading those 3, not only because it was a Booker Prize, International Booker Prize, but also because now he won the Nobel Prize. So I meant to write his name down, but I forgot. Okay, so I need to talk about movies and some books. Sorry, I'm kind of like all over the place. First movie my husband picked was The Meg, Part 2, The Trench. Now, it's just like you would expect. I mean, it's going to be a trashy B movie, but fun. And it was. It was just like, okay, nothing like is humanly possible what they do in these movies. It's just, a gigantic shark movie. And I think, was this the one where they actually, they go, oh yeah, it's called The Trench. The first part of the movie, they actually go down into this like trench, and it's got this permalayer, which is what prevented the gigantic meg sharks from going up into the regular ocean. So they go down there, and it's very much in many ways like The Abyss, the movie, which I love that movie. I'm not going to spoil it. They get out, they start threatening everybody. It's very Jaws in that sense. Can I recommend it? Absolutely, because it's fun trash. I mean, no, this is not a 5-star movie, but you're just gonna watch this movie with a beer and you'll be okay. All right, next. Argentina, 1985. So this was a movie that is, or was nominated Best Foreign Language Film. I actually need to check it off on my list. So I've been wanting to watch this for a while, and I'm glad I did. I really enjoyed this. I don't know much about the history in Argentina, but there was a dictatorship, and then when When the new government took over, it was very wobbly. How would you say that? It wasn't very secure, and they could have toppled. And so the prosecutors weren't very secure of their safety. And so to go after the former president and his cabinet and all the horrible things that they did, he wasn't secure in the knowledge that his family would be safe or that he would be safe in the future. But they went ahead and did it. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. So there you go, Argentina, 1985. It was worthy of being nominated for, as best foreign language movie of the year. And here's a picture of, in the movie, all of the various cabinet members who were on trial. I watched a couple. Let's see, I watched 2 horror movies. The first one, I believe they're both on Hulu. The first one was called Baby Ruby. Now, I don't want to spoil it. Okay, so this is not a horror movie in the traditional sense. Yeah, I don't want to tell what it's about, because if I tell what it's about, that spoils it. What I'm going to say is, if you go in thinking that this is a traditional horror movie, you might be disappointed, because that's not what it turns out to be. This is more some kind of unease that you have, because there's a baby in this film, and I was always uneasy because there was always like a threat to this baby. In many ways, part of it was like Rosemary's Baby, because they built up this like village, and you didn't know what was going on with all the people in the village. Even the family members were suspect. But like I said, it ends up being something that you're not, yeah, I don't want to give it away. This explores a different angle of horror, right? And it's got the guy from Game of Thrones. What's his name? Kit Harington. Yeah, he was Jon Snow. And yeah, but like I said, the real unease came because, be quiet. The real unease came because of that constant threat of the baby. I never knew if something bad was going to happen to the baby. You never know when it's coming. And so that, to me, like, I don't want to see a baby like chopped up or injured or, put in a pot of boiling water or, any of that. So that like kept me on the edge of my seat just because of that. The next one was called Blood. And this is built on the premise of, what would you do if you found out your child was basically a vampire? Right? As a mother, like, what would you do? Like, what lengths would you go to protect your child? I like this one. It had a little bit of a supernatural aspect that was kind of tacked on, that didn't necessarily need to be there and didn't really explain everything. But that was just like a plot device to get us into the vampiric stuff. But despite that, this was really, really interesting, because it's not really about the child. It's more about the mother. The mother is the main character, and what is she willing to do? The lengths that she will go to protect her son and provide him with what he needs. So yeah, I enjoyed that as a horror movie. I would say like 4 out of 5. Next one was another Academy Award nominated movie that I really, really wanted to see, and I've been putting it off because I didn't think my husband would want to see it. But I was like, no, I'm gonna pick this one, and he actually really enjoyed this. It was called Triangle of Sadness, and I guess it's called Triangle because it has 3 parts. And this is basically a movie about, I hate saying the word basically, I say it too much. This is a movie about class and differences in class and the way different classes treat each other. They make a big show at the beginning to go on and on about equality and everything, and then the whole movie tears it down. The first part takes place in a modeling world. The second part takes place on a yacht. And then the third part takes place on what they believe is to be a deserted island. This movie had me laughing, had me, it's a gamut of emotions. I loved this movie. It really does shine a light on so many injustices and the way people treat each other, and privilege, who has it, who doesn't, and how people of privilege, how they treat people without even sometimes even realizing it, and then those who abuse that privilege, and what it's like for people without privilege. Yeah, I loved this movie, and in fact, you're going to be hearing more from me, because I went ahead and looked up this director's other movies, and there are a couple available, and I'm going to be watching them because I really liked Triangle of Sadness. Here's a picture of them on the boat, on the yacht. The last movie I'm going to talk about, my husband wanted to see. Unfortunately, I've got a really blurry picture, so it's the new Disney version of The Haunted Mansion. And yeah, sorry, it's got a great cast, a really, really good cast. But it's like it's kind of like a Disney kids movie. Is it worth watching? I guess. Is it bad? No, not at all. I guess it's interesting for the special effects, for the cast. I don't know. It's Disney's Haunted Mansion. It was, if you like a PG, kind of kids scary movie, that's not my kind of thing. But my husband enjoyed it. I didn't hate it. I know that's like the worst review ever, right? Sorry. All right, books. What books did I read? I read listened to my first Edgar Rice Burroughs, At the Earth's Core. And I went ahead and looked up some. I just love the cover art of these books. At the Earth's Core. So originally, I guess it was serialized. A New Burroughs Romance. And there's another version of a cover. That doesn't look like Frazetta to me, but I could be wrong. Anyways, did I enjoy it? Yes. It had some very exciting scenes, but it's so of its time. It's very dated. It's very sexist. In fact, Sleepy Reader is like, hey, I wrote to him. I'm like, hey, I've read my first Edgar Rice Burroughs book, and he said, let me guess, there's a man who's chasing after a beautiful woman in the entire book, and I was like, that's exactly the plot, exactly. But there's a lot of wonky religion. There's some religious proselytizing, religious superiority. There's so much sexism. Like it can be bad. Racism. It's like not racism per se, but the descriptions are like of someone who definitely was of his time. Okay. I don't know. I don't want to because it was written in 1914. I enjoyed it though. But when those passages come, you're just like, ugh. I was sitting listening through them, but there were some scenes. Like there was this one scene that was pretty haunting, and the creatures, and it's this new world. Because what's really great, I need to draw this because it's so cool. So they tunnel. This is the beginning anyway. So they tunnel through the Earth's core. So they're going down. And they tunnel down to the Earth's core, and at a certain point, the rocket goes from that to that, and they didn't understand that. And then when they break through, it was pretty interesting because so now they'll be walking around here. Look at my beautiful. But some of the things that they mentioned, the inner core had more land than the outer core because the outer core is mostly ocean, whereas the inner core, and he said it was flipped, the ratio. So whereas this is 3/4 water and 1/4 land, this is 3/4 land and 1/4 water. And so there's actually more land here than here. Okay, I'm just explaining it from the book. But it was these kind of descriptions that were fascinating. And so And like this I didn't understand because there was no night there. There was like this flaming there was like a molten core like hanging in the middle. And so it was perpetually daytime there, and it was never night. And what else? There was no concept of time. And this didn't really make sense to me because one of the main characters, he went off on an adventure. He didn't go off, he was forcibly taken, but he makes his way back to his partner. And for the partner, it had only been a couple hours, but for that man, it had been a month or two. And that, that didn't make sense to me. So I don't think the time concept was explained as much as it should have been. But this was only the first book. Maybe it'll be explained in a later book. But the introduction of all the different kinds of creatures and the society and everything like that, it was interesting. And like I said, there was this really kind of scene in the book that I don't think I'll soon forget. It was pretty cool, but gruesome. All right. And I was able to get All Quiet on the Western Front back, and I was able to finish it. So All Quiet on the Western Front, of course, is this super famous novel that many people read in high school. I actually never read this one in high school. There were some very harrowing passages in this, but it's like what you would expect. It's a book about war, and it's horrible, and what the main character goes through is horrible. And is it worth reading? Definitely. But modern audiences have been exposed to this kind of thing so many times with war movies and different war books and even war poetry. But at the time it was written, possibly this must have been something really different and shocking, I guess. I don't know. I would actually have to go online and look at some reviews. It is definitely worth reading, right? But like I said, for a modern audience, it might not be all that new because we're kind of used to this kind of narrative at this point. Oh, as I was driving home today, it was very clear in this picture. It's hard to see. I crossed off the thing. But like, I had to drive. It was like bumper to bumper traffic, and I was being flipped off the entire time. I was just like, dude, but I think someone scratched that into the car. They're going to be pissed. I don't think it's magic marker. It looks like magic marker there, but I think it was scratched in, and that person's going to be mad when they find that out. But I had to drive behind, somebody flipping me off, like bumper to bumper. Bad enough, right? And then, someone's flipping you off the whole time. Oh my gosh. Oh, the final thing that I think I want to talk to you about is my husband and I, he wanted to watch the Chucky series. So we watched 1.5 episodes last night before we got tired. But the main character, the main actor, he's this like young guy. But man, is he a bad actor. Like, he is so bad at acting. I hope he gets better. And he's carrying around this gigantic Chucky doll, and he takes it to school, and like nobody likes him to begin with. He's an outsider, and then he brings a Chucky doll to school, and like everybody's making fun of him. And I'm just like, why would you bring that to school? And all the kids are making fun of him. And anyways, but it reminded me of this time when I was teaching. I think it was my 3rd year of teaching. And this I'm laughing about it now. This kid, he brought his wrestling figures. Oh my God, I can't. He would bring his wrestling figures, and they weren't small. They were like these giant ones, like this big. And they were like, Hulk Hogan and whatever. And he would like put them out on his desk. And most of these wrestling figures had like Speedos on or like thongs. And I was laughing so hard because those dolls are so homoerotic, right? And this kid, he would put these wrestling dolls out on his desk. And I mean, was a 7th or 8th grader. And like all the other kids would be making fun of him, and I'd have to get him to stop. But inside I was like, what the hell? Like, you need to put those wrestling dolls away. Oh my gosh, my dog has come up to my. You want to say hi, Aries? You want to say hi? So anyway, teaching you these crazy stories. Oh Lord. So we're just gonna go ahead and end there. That's 30 minutes. Again. Oh wait, let me show you this. I got these in the mail. These are so cute. Look at these. They're like little comic books in a book form. I haven't opened them up. Now I've seen these in like the Archie, and I've seen these in foreign languages, but I don't remember these in English. I'm like, look at these cool. Look at that guy's hot. I used to have this one when I was young. I remember that. And then, yeah, I mean, aren't these the cutest? I gotta find more of these. Look at these. They're awesome. Anyways, I think we're gonna end on that note. I hit my camera, and I want to thank all of you for your support. I wanna yeah, all your comments are appreciated. Don't forget about Larry's Library. Next week, I'm going out of town. I'm probably taking off Friday, and I'm driving up to Oakland or near San Francisco. So I don't know when I'm gonna film my show. I might not even film one for next week. I'm just not sure. But anyways, I want to thank everybody for the support, and I hope you all have a great weekend. Don't forget Larry's Library if you want to see Garage Geek live.